Drupal allows you to create web forms to put on your website that allows you to collect information from your users. Now, web forms currently are not secured, so you can't ask specific information like social security numbers or credit card information, etc. However, it does allow you to put some information on a page and ask fields in various types of ways to collect that information. So to create a web form, you can go ahead to your content types and choose web form. Here we'll get a page where we can fill out the first half of the form, such as the title and the body. So we will call this web form example 2. And we'll just take this dummy text and place it in the body, place it in the body, pasting it as plain text. So now we have our title and our body. We scroll down, we'll give it a site placement of about. And if it's an academic form, we'll go ahead and choose academics. And we'll go ahead and place it in the menu. And we'll place it under about. And publish this. Actually, I don't want to publish this yet because I haven't created the forms, the fields that people will fill out. So I'm going to save it as a draft and publish it once I'm completely ready. And I'll go ahead and hit save. So now we have the first half of our web form. We compare it to our example form here. We have the title and the content. So next we want to go ahead and add those fields. To do that, we come up to this tab, and you'll see that we have 2 more tabs than usual, web form and results. We'll want to go ahead and choose web form to add our fields. The first field type that comes up is text field. You can pull this down to select a different one if you'd like, but we'll go ahead and choose text field. And for the component name, we'll choose name. And we'll make this mandatory and hit add. So here we have the label, which will display on our page, similar to this, name. The field key is the name that Drupal needs to give to it so it understands how to process it properly under results. So the field key should always be the same as the label. The only difference is the field key will have to have all lowercase. It can't have any spaces. It can only have numeric or alpha characters. And then also, if there's multiple words in it, you'll have to put an underscore and then the rest of the name, or the rest of the title of the label. So this will automatically generate if you put in the component name on the previous screen. However, if you change this to first name, you'll want to change this here to first underscore name as well. But for now, we'll just keep it as name. Default value would type in something in the field box here. So you could say something like first and last name if you wanted to make sure that people understood that they typed in first and last name. They would then have to delete the words first and last name in order to enter in their real name. Also, because we're making this a mandatory field, it might allow you to accept first and last name here. So in general, I wouldn't put in any default value information here unless it's something that you want people to submit. Under description, this is a place where you can add additional information. So if you did want to make sure that people put in their first and last name, you could put it here. And the description will display underneath the field where they insert it. So it would display underneath this typing section here. Token value isn't something that you need to worry about. Same with this token value up here. Validation just allows you to make something mandatory or not mandatory, which is also on the previous screen. You can also make something unique. So if you want one name per entry, so someone couldn't enter in their name twice, you could go ahead and make this unique. So then Lisa Seaman would only be able to type in Lisa Seaman and submit a form once. Maximum length is the maximum length of characters that someone can enter into that field. So if you are maybe doing a contest for best tweets, you can have the maximum length of 140 characters here. Under display, you have a couple of options to affect the way that this field looks. So width would affect the width of this field. So if you want it to be shorter, you can do that. If you want it to be longer, you can do that as well. Or you can just leave it blank and Drupal will send it to default sizes. Labels, you can place a label either to the left or to the right of the text field. You can also choose to display this label up here, either above the field, which is what's currently selected here, or you can choose inline or not have it display at all. You can disable this component in the future if you don't want something to show up, like a comment field or anything like that. You can then come back and disable it, or if you don't want something to show up right away, you want it to show up later, you can go ahead and hit disable and it just won't show up during that time that it's disabled. And private makes it private for anyone who is not logged into Drupal, so all of your users should not be logged into Drupal since they're just general visitors. We'll go ahead and hit Save Component. So now if we want to go ahead and view this draft, we'll see that we have name and then the description down here, first and last name. Very similar to this. So next, we'll go ahead and enter an email. So email is great because it will make sure that there's an @ symbol and a dot followed by a few characters to make sure that it's a real email address. So very similar, you'll see a lot of the same values from the field text. So everything looks like it's displaying how we want it. We'll go ahead and hit Save Component. Come to the preview and hit refresh, and we now have email. Now the really great thing is if you want to clone something or edit something, you can do all of that over here and also delete. So say we come back to name and we don't want that description, we can go ahead and delete it and hit Save Component. Come to our web request or our web form and hit refresh, and now that is gone. So next, we actually have a large space here, and as you can tell on our form, each individual field doesn't have a lot of space in between. So what we're going to do is create what's called markup, and we'll call this markup 1 and hit add. Now markup allows you to put any sort of language in between the fields or even put spaces. So for this, we will go ahead and just put a couple of spaces here and scroll to the bottom and hit Save Component. And now when we hit refresh, you'll see that there's more space between the submit and the email button. So next on our list is meeting information. Now this meeting information is what is called a field set. A field set allows you to group a variety of content in with it. So we'll label this meeting information. And I hit save instead of add, so it deleted it. So I'll go ahead and choose it one more time and hit add. And from here we can choose whether or not we want it collapsible. So this would allow users to close fields. The only reason you would want to do this is if some fields were optional. Same with close by default. So you can have a variety of questions underneath this field set and have them all collapse by default, and users would have to open them up. So it kind of acts like this token value where if I click on it, it'll show additional hidden fields. In general, we don't recommend that you use collapsible because users can easily forget about them and not fill out all the content that you need. You can also hide the label so you don't show the label of the component or mark it as private again. So we'll go ahead and hit save, and we'll see what it looks like. So now we have this meeting information label. You can tell that it isn't bold, there isn't any real information, or it doesn't really stand out that much. So if you want any additional special markup, you can go ahead and just put it into this markup section here. So we'll go ahead and hit edit and say meeting information, and we'll bold this and actually even make it a heading 3 and hit save. Now when I hit refresh, you'll see that we have meeting information, which will break out the next few fields for us. So now we have this meeting information. We don't want this meeting information. So we'll come here and we'll just delete this field set. So the next thing that we want to add is a meeting date. So we come to our web form and we will pull this drop down and choose date and call it meeting date and choose add. So you'll see that since this is 2 words, there's an underscore under field key. We're going to scroll down all the way to mandatory, and you'll see that there's a start date. Now, start date is how soon people can, or where the calendar starts, rather. So if I take -2 years and say today, that will mean that people can't request a date any earlier than today, or input a date any earlier than today. And also the end date is how far out people can put in dates, so people can't put in a date that's more than 2 years from today. So this is enabling a pop-up calendar, so when you click on the date, it'll pop up a calendar for you to choose. And you can also use a text field for a year. We'll go ahead and hit Save Component. Take a look here, and we have our new web form with our meeting date at the bottom. So now if we try to say that we'll have a meeting date on the 8th of April, 2012, hit submit, we do have a, the enter date must be April 18th or later here under the meeting date. You can also choose this calendar and go through and choose the date as well. The next item is our meeting time. Now the meeting time does currently have a small error where the AM and PM is not with the radio buttons that it selects. This is a known error that we're working at fixing. But you can go ahead and choose a time and call this meeting time. Choose add. And when we scroll down, you can see that if you don't want that error, you can also choose 24 hours instead of 12 hours. So we'll go ahead and do that and hit Save Component. Now when I go here and go, you'll see that we have our meeting, our hours, and our minutes in 24-hour time frame. All right, and it looks like we have a space after that. So what we're going to do is come and create a new markup. And choose add. And just put a few spaces and hit Save Component. And now we have a space between submit and the meeting time. And the next item is a place where we can upload static files. So currently on this item, if we try to upload like an Excel file, it will say that fields with an Excel extension are not allowed. Please upload a file with a text, HTML, PDF, doc, docx, PowerPoint, or PowerPoint X extension. So that was a field that I specifically requested could not upload Excel files. So to do that, we go ahead and choose File and say Agenda and choose Add. And here you can also choose a specific directory if you want it to upload someplace specific. But in general, you should just leave this blank. And this is where you can choose what should be uploaded. Since I want this to be an agenda, I don't want it to be a web image. So I'll deselect those. I don't want it to be a desktop image. I'll want it to be documents. So I'll choose text. I'll also choose rich text, HTML, PDF, doc, docx, PowerPoint, advanced PowerPoint, and that's about it. So I won't select anything else, and anything that isn't specifically one of these will not be selected. So this is a good example of when you might want to enter a description. So you can say, please upload files, upload Word document, PowerPoint, or plain or text files. There's a maximum upload size, and then the rest are all pretty self-explanatory. There is this additional extension, so if there isn't something here that you see, you can go ahead and put in something else and hit Save Component. And now when we go here, we can see that we have our agenda with our description below. So it looks like we have another space after the agenda, so we'll go ahead and we will clone this markup. And we'll call this markup 3, change it here in the web key, and hit save. Now we'll move this below and hit save. Now I take a look at it again. There's a space. So the next item is what we call a grid, and a grid allows you to ask multiple questions with the same standard set of answers, where people can select the proper answer that they need. So to do that, we choose grid, and we'll call this grid. So there's a new option here called options and questions. This is how you type in your answers and your questions here. So there are specific directions that are displayed underneath it. So in addition to, very similar to this key field, you have to have a key field for Drupal for each one of your options and your questions. Now the key field must be entered first. And similar to the key field up here, field key, it has to be all lowercase and only alphanumeric characters. So here we'll do answer 1, followed by a pipe, and then what will be displayed on the website, answer 1. All right, and same for our questions. We'll just list each of our questions with a return in between. You can also randomize the options or randomize the questions. So if you don't want to have each question listed in that specific order, each time you can randomize it, same with the options. And then you hit save. And when we come here, we'll hit refresh, and you'll see that we now have our grid. So now if we take a look at our example web form, you'll see that we have a next page. So what we've done is we've split this into 2 pages. I'll go ahead and fill this out so you can see what it looks like. And next page. So this is our next page. You can also choose previous page to go back. When you go back, it does save all of your answers here. You can see here that I've downloaded something already. So to do that, you choose page break. We'll label this page break 1. It doesn't actually display, and we'll hit save. We actually need to hit add. All right, I hit save instead of add, so I just have to add this one more time, page break 1, and hit add. Just save the component, and now you'll see when we hit refresh that we have a next page. Now that page currently doesn't have anything, so it just goes to the current page. So we need to add additional questions on the next page, which are radio buttons. The next thing that we'll do is add our selection options, and we'll call this selection options, and we'll choose add. Here you'll see a lot of the same fields. Something that's new is this multiple. If you check multiple, it'll create a checkbox, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. Otherwise, we have our same option field that we just entered, very similar to the grid. You enter your field key, followed by what it actually looks like on your website. You can also choose pre-built options such as days of the week, country, and the U.S. states. And then you have your various display options. You can create a list box, which actually is a pull down here. We'll go over this in a little bit. And then you can also randomize the options as well. So we'll go ahead and hit Save Component. And we'll come back here and fill in the name and hit Next Page. And we'll see that we now have our selection options. And we need a space here. So what we'll do is we will go ahead and clone our markup. Call it markup 4. And save component. And we'll drag this down and hit save. Next, we want to create this drop-down list, which I briefly mentioned, and to do that easily, we're just going to go ahead and hit clone for the selection option that we created. And this will call list box. So we want it all the same, except now we'll choose list box and hit save component. Now I didn't change this, so we'll go ahead and copy that and lowercase it. Save component. All right, and now we have our selection box list and our selection option with the space. It's displaying on top because we cloned it and we did not move it. So we'll go ahead and, actually first I want to clone this markup space and call this 5. And hit save component. And now I want to make this selection option display like that. And now we can hit save. Now we refresh the page. And we'll see that selection option list box is below the selection options, and we have spaces in between each. Next, we're going to clone this one more time and call this checkboxes. And we'll deselect the list box and select multiple. Hit save component. And I'm going to clone this markup 5 one more time to say markup 6. Save. And we will reorganize it so my checkboxes are in between, and hit save one more time. Hit refresh. And now we have my checkboxes, radio buttons, and our drop-down list. We can also go back to the previous page one more time, make sure everything's looking good, hit our next page, and it's looking good again. So The final thing is the text area. You can see here that we can resize this text area. To do that, we go ahead and create the text area and call this text area. Choose add. And very similar, you can choose the width, height. Resizable is checked, allowing me to resize that box. So if I've written a lot, I can see everything that I've written all in one. And we'll save that component. Right, and then we'll come over here and hit refresh. And now we have our text area followed by our previous and submit button. So we'll do one more markup so we have more of a space. Call this markup 7. And save component. And we'll move markup 7 below the text area. Refresh. And now we have a space between the text area and the previous and submit buttons. So that's how you add all of your fields. The next thing that we want to do is we want to continue along these tabs, and we'll designate who gets emails when this form has been submitted. So once you're here, you go ahead and type in the email address that you want to have receive a notification when the form has been submitted. And we'll go ahead and choose add. Here you can go ahead and take a look at some of the details that you'll receive when you get the email. So this includes the email subject. You can either have it default, form submission, or you can write in a customized subject, or you can have it a component name. So one of the emails that, or one of the fields that you selected earlier, you can have that be the subject. So for now, we'll just do the default. And you can also customize what the email address is from. So if you don't change this, it'll always be CMS admin. If you have a department email, you might want to type in the department email here. So we'll go ahead and hit Save Email Settings. You can also choose that it will email as a confirmation. So if you choose the component value of email, it will choose the email that the users entered to send the confirmation. And we'll go ahead and hit Add. Now this is where you'll really want to take a look at what some of your header details, your from, address, and name really are, because people might not know what CMS admin is, so you might want to type in your actual email for your department or your personal email, depending. Same with the subject. Maybe the subject will be web form confirmation. And you can go ahead and hit Save. And just make sure that you type in the email address if you have custom. And we'll go ahead and hit Save Email. And now we have two emails, one that goes to me when someone has submitted an email, and one that goes to the value of email when someone submits a form. It'll email them using that email that they submitted as a confirmation. Finally, we have form settings, and form settings allows you to create a confirmation message. Now, if you just type in a general confirmation message, and save this, it will create a page, but the page doesn't have any special formatting on it, and it doesn't look very good. So what we suggest, this is what it looks like. So it's not very great, and there's a better way that you can do it. The way you can do it is you can choose custom URL. And by choosing custom URL, you can create a general content page and label it confirmation, web form confirmation. Thank you for submitting your form. We will be in touch soon. And just create this as you would any general detail page. We'll place it under About. Tagging, we'll also call this Academics. And we'll provide a menu link, but we don't want it to actually show up in the menu. And we want to give it a placement under About. Go to site placement under Web Form Example. and hit save. Now we have this confirmation. We'll copy that URL and we'll place it here in this custom URL on our web form, example 2. Next, you can limit submissions. So you can either have it unlimited or maybe it's an RSVP with a maximum of 50 spots. You can choose 50. Or maybe it's a contest and you choose one winner every day. So you might want to just choose 50, limit of 50 per day. For now, we'll choose unlimited. Status of this form, if you eventually need to close this form but you don't want to get rid of it, you can go ahead and choose close, and this will not allow anyone to enter any more content, but it'll be up there with a message saying that the form is closed. And you can hit save, keep this open, and hit save configurations. And now when we come to our web form, we'll submit this one more time. You'll see that it comes to the nice web form confirmation where they can access the rest of your site. So that's how you create a web form. It walks you through very well with these tabs at the top and these at the bottom. So the next thing is this form validation. This isn't something that you should ever have to worry about. Finally, we have results. Now this is where you can come to see who has submitted information to your web form. You can see here that I've submitted 2 entries. You can view each individual one, see what I've done. You can take a look at the previous submission as well. You can also choose analysis and see how many people left the name blank, which is 0 because it's mandatory, and just kind of see some general details about your web form. You can also see a table of everything. So you can see when it was submitted, the users, etc. And you can download the forms as well. So you can download it as Microsoft Excel and download it that way. You can also clear it all. So only do this if you know that you don't need the submissions anymore. I know that we don't, so I'll go ahead and hit clear. And now when I go back to the analysis tab, everything is zeroed out. Same with the submissions, same with the tables. So that's how you create, view, and edit your web forms.